Welcome to Mark Langley's Horsemanship Podcast, where we look beyond surface behaviour to better understand how horses think, learn and respond. I'm Jenny Langley, joined by Australian horseman Mark Langley, as we answer questions from our online members and discuss alternative practical approaches to training that prioritises emotional balance, clarity and trust. This week, managing horses generally. We're going to give you some ideas and exercises to help you catch them, manage them, and look after them. Mark, Andrea from New Zealand has got a gelding who she thought was always hard to catch, but now she realises he's just afraid of the halter being put on him. She's noticed that he'll usually hang around, but when she goes to fetch his halter, that's when he'll walk away. She's not quite sure how to help him get past this. She's had great success with your other methods. He's no longer pushy and leads really nice, so many thanks. So that's from Andrea. Mark, what tips have you got for her to help with this horse that she's got that is walking away when she goes to catch him if she's got the halter?
So there could be an area where the horse is still quite nervous, either down their eyes a little bit and still a little bit frightened and still frightened with the feeling of entrapment. Also, some horses feel they're emotionally hobbled when they're put in a halter. So I think what you've got to think about, like, it sounds like your horse is leading better, but leading really well is part of the answer, because so if the horse is frightened of the halter, what you could do is you could just sort of go up with the halter in your hand, get them to engage with the halter a bit. So, as soon as they sort of block the halter out when you're walking up, or block the catch because you've got a halter, you might just do something to just distract them. And when their thoughts come back towards you and the halter, you just might just sort of step back and walk away, come back again. So it's like approach till you get a bit of an engagement with the halter and you, and then walk away, come back again, and do that again until the horse engages a little bit with the halter, even sniffs it again, because they might have started blocking it out a while ago, and it might have started, getting caught with its nose sort of poking away and its thoughts kind of somewhere else. And that could have been a remnant of the past. So basically, it sounds like your leading techniques are getting better, so your horse is leading better, but there's still that kind of habit that might have been started from the past. So if the horse is fine with you without the halter, then all you got to do is do a similar catching lesson where you have the halter. So as soon as you see that outward thought or that block or that slight shutout, you just might do something. Wriggle the halter, tap your leg at the same time till, as I say, the thoughts come back, and then walk away. Give the horse some space to think about that, then come back again and approach and retreat like that until you can go up and the horse engages with you with the halter and the halter. When you put a catch on, instead of putting the halter straight over the nose, I'd go back to neck roping the horse. So put the halter lead rope around and just get them to softly lead with you with the lead rope around their neck, and then same with the halter where you pull the headband over the top to do it up. Just start to lead them with that a little bit, and then put it over their nose, and and do a lot of catches in one hit. Put the halter on, take it off, walk away. Put the halter on, take it off, walk away, and that just gets the catching sorted out. But that's just the catching. And if the horse has got memories of feeling trapped in the halter, that's why. It's almost like, oh, here, slave, come and put the hobbles on. You go, no, I don't want the hobbles on because now you're going to chain me up to the wall. So the association that halter has, so no matter how many times you put the halter on and off, you still have to give them the right education in the halter, so they've got a nice soft mindset about having that halter on. So if you look at a lot of techniques, people kind of send their horse off pressure, and then they have to catch them in the halter all the time, and the halter's there so the horse doesn't escape. If you really look at it, so if you're using your halter in a way to guide your horse, so you can direct the horse out, so it thinks out and it goes out with that halter, then it comes back with that halter, then basically the halter is a pathway, not a trap. But if you send your horse out with an energy which kind of worries it a little bit, and then to stop it from leaving, you have to hold on to the rope, the horse will never, ever get over the idea that this halter is a trap. So how you direct and lead your horse is really the key. So more good quality leading, but really look at how your horse is searching in the halter. If it's not searching and it's kind of looking a bit sort of subdued, it's a little bit shut down with the holder on. So somehow you need to sort of get it to search. So you keep putting the feel on the holder until you see a blink and a think and the horse looking and searching. And then when it's out, when you bring it back, same thing. The horse flicks its ear in, it comes back, and lead it into you. Don't just sort of use the halter to catch it or trap it. And those two things combined in the catching and then the leading, you should make some good changes.
Kelly from Australia has a 12-year-old off the track thoroughbred. I think you know him. He's a standardbred called Sully. She doesn't ride him anymore, but she's taking him in-hand walks, which she thinks he clearly enjoys, getting out of his paddock and investigating the property. But she's having problems because he's very tender-footed, so she wants to put front boots on him. And she's had these boots made and fitted, and as far as she knows, there's no problem with them and there shouldn't be any sore points. But she's finding that he's getting very stressed when she goes to put the boots on. So he's not standing still, he's weaving, he won't pick up his feet. She's noticed his breathing has quickened and he starts to walk off. So it's very hard for her to actually get them on. Once they're on, his behaviour settles and he seems to have no issue wearing them, and she knows they don't rub. She'd like to know, what can she do to help him be more relaxed putting his boots on?
So I was thinking about that question, and one of my thoughts, like I've always think, why do horses do certain things? And one thing came to mind is I wonder if there's some noise when you first put the boots on that he's remembered. It's now obviously he settles down once the boots are on, once he realises they're unrestrictive, but the noise of it, and there's an association with when he was hobbled to be taught to pace. So when they have to hobble them so they pace. And I wonder if the worry of having that on is like a bit of a remnant flashback, that causes the anxiety and the association with the boots. And he hasn't put two and two together yet. And it could be something to do with the noise of the boot, because the only thing really a boot has that's different, well, actually, it has a hobbling feeling because there is the straps that go around, his foot a little bit to kind of keep it secure. So whether it's a memory that's causing that or not, I'm not sure, but that could be some of the reason. But either way, I think I'd go back to a lesson where I use below his fetlock to lead him. So I just get a long lead rope and put it around his fetlock, or just start up underneath like his shoulder and just take it right down on his elbow, and just take it down like a folded rope that'll go around the back of his fetlock, and just let it kind of gently work its way down, and rub him with the rope all the way down so he can feel it all the way down. And then when you put the rope around his above his fetlock, use that to start to lead him, to soften his feet up. And he might worry, he might get a bit anxious about it, but you just put a feel on that to get him to move his feet a little bit. It'll bring back a bit of the memory of the hobbling if that was the problem, but it'll give you a chance to sort of get him to follow the feel of that that rope that's around underneath his fetlock, and do that on both legs. And then you can also lead him backwards and forwards while you gently rub him with the rope up and down, and do that a little bit first. As I say, don't go straight for the foot. Just sort of maybe give him a leading lesson for 5 or 10 minutes so he's soft and he's rocking back, and then just slip a rope around the back of his elbow and then go down, and then soften the feet like that, and see how you go with that. The other thing is handling his leg while he's walking with a flag or something that makes a bit of noise, because the boots do make a bit of a clump noise when you put them on and they walk around in them. So if it's a noise related thing, you could get something there that makes a bit of noise on a stick, and just sort of have it around his feet while you're leading him in hand, and see if he can just sort of soften up to that, and keep doing it until he lets go of the tension to that sound and softens up. And then once you've done that, just go in and put the boots on. I'd say, that's all I'd really be doing, and keep, as I say, keep him leading and mobile a little bit, and really loose before you do anything, because you don't want him standing and then the first thing he does once he gets nervous is move away. So have him already moving first and then coming into the stop before you handle him, opposed to standing dead still and then moving away. And I think if you work on those things, you might make a change, and see how you go.
Lotte from Denmark would like to know the best way to help stop her young horse from chewing on ropes.
Chewing on ropes, a lot of, especially like if you look at like I shouldn't sort of categorize too much, but if you have a look at there's an old saying, that men die younger than women because we never give up these old crazy habits. And if you look at horses, you look at geldings and you go, well, geez, that gelding's awfully playful. And you look at some mares and they're all fairly calm and steady. So playing with ropes and all things like that, it gives them a stimulant. If it's just a young horse that's fiddly, they'll just fiddle and play with things and it's all fun. In the wild, horses have a little bit more stimulant around them with other horses they scratch with, they play with, and they do a lot like that. And depending on how much other stimulant your horse has, like some people have like toys that their horses play with to keep their mind active because they only have small paddocks and stuff and not a lot of other horses to play with and stuff like that. So then they get a bit more fiddly. So if your horse is generally a bit bored and fiddling with things and getting a stimulant out of that, it can become a habit that they start to, oh, that's good, I'll play with that and I'll play with this. So if it becomes just a fiddly habit, that then you could say, oh, well, I'm just going to let him fiddle the rope till he gets sick of it. Well, maybe he won't get sick of it. The problem with fiddly habits and the nibbling of the ropes and stuff is if your horse has already got that habit, when it's just sort of passing time, it can become I'm a bit anxious and I don't want to think about that. I'm going to go to my fiddly thing, like remember those, what were they called, Jenny? Those things that the kids used to spin around, fidget spinners or whatever they were, and they were for kids who were sort of really struggling concentrating. Now, those fidget things made kids concentrate, but what I've noticed with horses, when a horse starts to fidget with something else, it loses concentration and focuses on that. And sometimes it's a way of just blocking out what's happening. So if that playful fiddly habit turns into an anxiety habit, which means it can, if the horse has already got it as a habit, it will do it. So where I'm going with that is if you put the holder on your horse and you weren't doing anything with it and you just drop the rope there, how long does it fiddle with the rope? And does it just look like it's off with the pixies playing with the rope? When you go to do something with the horse, does it play with the rope? So what I'm saying is if you're doing nothing with the horse and it's standing over there, does it fiddle with the rope? Or do you do it when you're with the horse? So they're little experiments you can do. Oh, it's starting to fiddle the rope when I'm near it and stuff like that. So it's a bit anxious. So it's becoming a little bit of a habit when it's anxious, or it's just something there it notices and it's going to play with it. So in most cases, I'd say plays play, but there's time not to play. So I distract the horse from that. Whether I bang my leg and every time it goes to fiddle, I do something different. I bang my leg and say, hey, let go of that thought, or disrupt it a little bit. Create a bit of caution, okay? Because some of the fiddly horses, in training, we need some caution. It's not just playful all the time. There's a bit of caution. So I might, if I bang the flag, I might bang it big enough so the horse goes, oh, what was that? And then it starts to go, oh, I better be a little bit more cautious, like I'm stalking, opposed to I can just go and play and nothing's going to happen. So, and that's a little bit of fear. And sometimes people say, oh, well, you don't really want fear in training. It's like, well, I don't want the horse to be frightened of me and what I'm going to do to it. But we'll always be in an environment where it has to be on a bit more of in an aware state and a bit more alert. So there has to be a level of caution, which that caution does come at, I'm a little bit frightened. I best kick into a sort of a soft self-survival sort of instinct, not the self-survival when they're running off or fighting, but that I'm going to be cautious and aware. So, and usually when they go into that mindset, they tend to fiddle less, unless they don't know how to process and problem solve, so then they go back to fiddling because they're anxious. But either way, you need to disrupt the fiddling. And then when you're guiding your horse, you should see them searching and thinking. So, just distract it and maybe don't do anything with the horse until it's present and centered. So you just might distract the fiddling, interrupt it until your horse is standing quietly and just in a restful, more just calm state, and then go about teaching it. But practice just disrupting that thought a little more often. As I say, sometimes letting them fiddle, just if it becomes a habit, just allows them to sort of zone out, and we have to be careful of that.
Have you noticed that horses grow out of chewing on ropes, though?
I've seen some horses at clinics that have got a bit of age on them and they've got a very immature mind, and some of the what were little playful habits turned into, like, it turns into anxiety habits, and once it does that, they don't grow out of them because it becomes like an alternative, and that's where all these other habits like wind sucking, crib biting come from, things like that. And I see some, and even horses just start to play with the bit when they're anxious. It starts off as them going, oh, what's this in my mouth? And then all of a sudden, because that's in their mouth, when they get anxious, they start to chew it. So, and I do see horses that take a little longer to just generally grow up in their maturity and their playfulness. Some horses are playful for a lot longer. And what we're teaching them is we don't want to lose that interest in them. And that's why this is the balance of guiding horses is so hard, is I really try and get horses to search and go towards their thoughts and sort of have that opportunity. There's an opportunity sort of frame of mind there. Not I'm looking for threat all the time, but we can't have them in that over-curious, playful brain, because then they just sort of become, targeters and things like that, and they're not really thinking about the boundaries as well.
Going on to situations where there's more than one horse and the problems that arise when you try and separate those two horses. Casey would like to know some advice on catching horses that are paddock together, particularly when one horse goes behind the other. How do you go about catch and release?
Brings me back to a memory of a story in Germany. When I first went to Germany, there was a famous pony called Baloo that apparently was a bit famous over Germany, because I've probably been to a few different adjustment centres and homes, and he was a really nice pony, but he mastered the art of kind of running away and hiding behind all the other horses. And I sort of decided with Baloo, but the funny thing was he wasn't completely terrified. He just learnt that, well, I don't like this and I like this, and I'm really going to stay with what I like. So anyway, I just went about figuring out all the horses that he used to like, and I'd go and sort of pat that horse and then do something with that horse, and I'd go to the other horse and leave him out of the picture kind of thing. And I'd even go and catch another horse that he kind of would generally hide behind, and I'd move it somewhere else, and I'd do this and do that. And after a while, I'd sort of could go in, and Baloo was nearly coming up to me, or I could go and catch him and he wouldn't hide. So I was just kind of playing him in his own game a little bit. But then when I caught him, I'd just catch him and go, thanks for leading 2 meters, and let him go and say, that's all I want you to do. Before I go any more with that story, though, I just want to make this clear to everyone, is don't do a catching lesson if your horse, like I said earlier about the haltering, if your horse thinks that it's going to be chased around a round ped when it's caught, or your horse thinks that, so if your horse is hard to catch and it's hiding behind another horse because when you ride it, it's always anxious and you always, leave it in a bad space through. So don't just work on a magic catching lesson only to sort of let your horse down with bad education later or bad guiding. So when I offer people little ideas on catching lessons like I'm about to, that's not going to fix the problem if the horse feels bad once you're operating it. So the whole operating, so I guess where I'm going with that is I've had horses that I haven't even worried about the catching, and I've just worked them in the way that I work and made them feel good about following a field, feel better about following a rein, trust carrying me around and being guided. And then all of a sudden I walk out the paddock, I can catch them. That wasn't because of catching. So when I offer catching lessons, you can't just see it as I'm going to fix it with a catching lesson, but I can help you with some tactics in a herd situation. So I just want to get that off my chest, because if I miss that, then we miss the whole point of being good trainers. So back to the catching and using a bit of cunning in the catch. I don't want you guys to be cunning, and I see people using cunning, but just like the Hansel and Gretel witch used a bit of cunning, but what happened when they got in the house? it was a different story. So what I would usually do is just take 2 holders with me in that scenario, or just 1 holder. Catch the horse, go to whatever horse, the one he hides behind, and just catch that horse and lead it around for a while. And while you're leading that horse around, you just kind of lead past him, let him have a sniff on you, touch and go. And then as you're kind of just about got a catch on him because you got the other horse in hand, and like little foals, like when they sort of hide behind their mum a bit, I just might move their mum around a little bit until their mum's saying to them, "Oh, I don't really want you to hide behind me." And then the foal goes, "Oh, mum doesn't want me to hide behind them. I might just stand here." And then I just let them stand there, and they might make a little connection with me. And that's kind of what I do with a horse that hides behind another horse. I just catch the other one, and every time he hides, I just move that horse the other way until he's like, "Oh, that horse doesn't really want me to do that." And then when he stands, if I can get a touch and go on him, I'll just touch and go, leave him alone until I can just walk up, touch him, and then I'll let the other horse go, put a little catch on him, lead him about a bit, catch the other horse, and just go between the 2 horses until the catch didn't mean a lot to him. He was okay with the catch. The other horse is okay with the catch. And just do a bit more handling in the herd and catching and letting go and leading a little bit until it's not this idea of him hiding behind the other horse. But then when you do catch him, remember that he's getting taken away from the other horses. So that's also probably what he's trying to, tell you, I don't want to be taken away from the other horses. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that horse is doing that. And as I said before, maybe the training's out, that he's feeling bad in the training and insecure, whatever. So, but that's how I'd go about just helping him in the catch anyway.
And from Linda, she has been gifted a 13-year-old well-bred Australian riding pony. He's herd bound and gets really stressed if he's more than a few feet away from his paddock buddy. He's very friendly, but he'll go nuts if he can't see another pony. She's had him in the paddock with a miniature horse, and she doesn't want to put him in with her quarter horses because it's harder to get him away from them. Have you got any suggestions that she could use to try and calm him or help him get over it? He has had quite a few homes because of it, and she'd love to be able to at least try to help him.
Got a couple of stories in mind. One story is actually another German story from many years ago when I went to train or work with some people over there, and there's some other horses that I wanted to work that I was allowed to work. One particular mare that was extreme separation anxiety that many years ago another famous trainer had gone to work with, actually their mother, but the mother was too arthritic to work, so I got the daughter who was probably just as bad, if not worse, than the mother was. I'm not going to go into the story why they were like that, but if you took them, 2 centimetres away from the herd, it felt like that was it. So I couldn't catch the horse myself. I just got a young girl who knows the horse, who the horse trusts to catch the horse. But as soon as she goes to take it from the horse would just rear back, pull away, and just run back to the herd, and couldn't cope with leaving the other horses. And your horse has got a lot of homes. So back to the other, what I was talking about in the previous catching lesson, is all the memories that horse has had with people makes it more herd bound. So you can't just work on cunning, like I go back to cunning, separation anxiety tactics, if the horse's memories of how it's been ridden, how the reins, how the bits hurt its mouth, how the spurs have hit it in the ribs, how the sticks have hit it, how it's always been anxious under saddle and trapped. You can't do a cunning catching lesson and fix that, or a cunning herd bound lesson without fixing that. So there's a whole bunch of things that you have to do with that horse to make it trust just being led by people, full stop, even being led with the horses, with people. So separation anxiety, we could call it this, anxiety separation. So the amount of anxiety that's in that horse from all its time and homes that it's been in has caused it never to want to be separated from safety, because anytime it's away, it's anxious. So it's the anxiety that's caused the extreme separation, not separation anxiety causing the problem. So if you see it like that, when you do this lesson that I'm about to tell you, you're going to take it in a way that's helping your horse feel good about what you're asking it, and doing it in a space where your horse is comfortable. So back to the German horse, and you'll be able to figure out the answer through what I'm going to explain was what I did with this horse. Is I got the young girl to catch the horse. And then I said, quickly hand me the rope. And then in the middle of the herd, I just got that horse to trust following that rope and connect with it. Let go of that out thought there and just come over here, and just let go of that thought, come over here quietly, until the horse trusted the rope and trusted following the feel of the rope, and also trusted me guiding that rope. So through trusting the rope and then trusting following me and the rope, the horse started to let go of the other horses and go, I'm following you and I'm connecting with you, and I feel a lot better. And then when the horse was feeling good, it took me about half an hour, 40 minutes in the herd, just getting it to what I thought lead better. Now, obviously, I didn't have enough time to make it lead amazing, but it was good enough, I thought, to help that horse if I just took it outside the herd a little bit. And then I took that horse just outside the herd, and I worked it just on the outskirts of the herd. So the herd itself were grazing. I spread out a bit, but on the outskirts, I mean, I might have been only about 10 metres away. And I did the same things. Anytime the horse got a little worried, I taught it to follow that rope and just let go and get its attention a little bit until it was soft, 10 metres away from the herd. Then I took it outside the paddock, outside the gate, and that's where it kind of blew up a little bit. But within about 10, 15 minutes, I showed it the things that I showed it in the herd and just outside the herd, and then finally it reset and went, I remember this, I trust this, I understand this, and then I could take it away out of eyesight from the other horses. And then by the time I'd finished the whole lesson and brought it back from the arena where it was, which had barns, so I couldn't see the other horses really on the other side of the barns, you could have led that horse into a Coke bottle. It was so happy to follow that feel. And basically I led it all the way back to the herd. Not once did it connect with the herd until I let it go in the herd. So what I'm saying is I led it towards the herd when I'd finished everything, and it wasn't even worried about them, because I'd offered it an alternative feeling through leading that's replaced the need for that herd. So it's the need, that horse when it's anxious. So I didn't do some magical separation anxiety lesson. I just educated the horse on a very basic lesson in the herd to take it away from the herd. So going back to your pony, all the bad leading it's had, all the trapping, all the whatever it's had, you're sort of taking it away in how you guide that horse. So basically this is probably the hard thing, and people don't want to hear this, is you're restarting the pony again in the herd. And then when the horse trusts some of the things you can provide it, well, you can sort of take it away a little bit. But because the pony has been started, it's not doom and gloom. Usually once you reset them a bit, they still remember their education. You just put a bit of a reset in there that helps them progress.
Can I ask how long it took you to work that horse in Germany?
I think all up it was about, maybe I had the horse for about 2 hours.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, like it would have been half an hour, 40 minutes in the herd and about 30 minutes outside before I ventured to the arena, and I let it go in the arena. But I got a bit of a connection in the arena when I let the horse go. But then I put the halter on because the security I built in the halter really got that horse to soften a lot quicker. So I could help it a lot quicker in the halter because we had something already started there.
That's amazing. It's calmed down completely, just having familiarity and trust, I suppose, in what you were teaching it. Is that right?
Yeah, making it feel safe in what it felt unsafe with. So because the horse, I guess, had a history of just running away in the halter was a big trap for it as well, because once a horse pulls back and runs away with the halter on after it's been caught, then basically it reinforces the reinforcement to that horse as this halter is a trap and it's dangerous. So basically by putting the halter on and giving it a complete different opportunity through that halter and a pathway to follow, then it stopped thinking it was a trap. And that goes back to the earlier question about the horse is scared of haltering. It all kind of links up. And so we're fixing separation anxiety because I was still working on connection and stuff, but I did it through a lead rope, opposed to just walk around the herd and do some like liberty connections and stuff, which you could do as well. So you could walk around the herd and just gently, just like the catching lesson with the horse that hides with the pony, you could just walk around the herd, touch one horse, connect with the pony, walk away, just get the pony to trust you, be more familiar with you, things like that. Do that for a few days, then put the holder on and do the holdering lesson. But either way, it all has to be sort of worked on.
Amazing. Great to hear the stories. Thanks, Mark. Thank you for the questions that have come through. We'll be back next week answering more of your questions. See you then.
Thank you, Jenny. And thank you, everybody.
If you'd like to help apply any of these ideas to your own horse, you can join Mark Langley online. The membership gives you access to Mark's full training library, detailed step-by-step exercises and regular Q&A support to help you better understand your horse's behaviour, training and emotional responses. It's designed to give people more practical, thoughtful solutions that help horses learn with confidence, softness and understanding. To find out more, head to marklangley.com.au and click join.